Hello everyone, my name is Christopher. Mid-Season 7 brought us some very interesting meta changes, and certain tanks can finally see the light of the day after the 2 seasons of Bastion oppression. And I'd like to start my list with one of them. His name is Winston, and the character was the strongest tank in Season 3, 4 and 5, with the composition that consisted of Winston, Tracer, Sombra, Ana and Brigade, and slowly but surely turned into a useless, miserable and unplayable character in Season 6 and 7 because of 2 important changes. The change number 1 was the fact that Bastion got insanely buffed and went from being very mediocre to an absolute meta, completely shredding tanks, DPS and supports left and right with his overpowered turret form. He had so little downtime on it and was completely unkillable due to damage reduction as well as inability to headshot him, as well as the fact that supports were overpowered back then and they are still overpowered, and the burst healing, ability to apply immortality with cleanse and lamp are still present, and it was just completely impossible to kill him. Imagine the situation where he's in a turret form, mercy pocketed, plus there is an Ana standing behind ready to throw a nade and kill him to the full, or excuse me, heal him to the full HP. So every single time you would jump the backline, there is nothing to kill, as well as there is a Bastion that's melting your shield and ready to destroy you, and no amounts of burst heal from your team would save you from an inevitable death, because not only the supports are far away and only Ana can heal you from that range, as well as Bastion was just so overpowered back then. And the second reason is the release of Illari. You have a DPS character that was placed in a support category with a completely broken damage numbers. I would play a game and I would have more damage than my tanks and DPS as a support, and it's completely not fine. Pylon was impossible to kill and would stay alive even if you die on Illari, bringing like same amounts of value that Zenyatta Orb would bring. It is completely crazy. As well as the fact that when you jump on Winston to kill Illari, if you don't kill the pylon, you can't kill Illari, and you can't kill the pylon because it has armor and you need to like zap through it. It would take so much of your time and resources that you would just die from Bastion in the process of doing that. As of mid-season 7, Bastion got nerfed, plus people started playing Sigma, Sojourn and Hanzo to play around him. And they finally learned that you need to go for the natural cover to kite the Bastion form and approach him only when he is at his vulnerable state, when turret form is off cooldown. Winston, in the current state of the game, is great against composition that can't reliably destroy shields. For example, you are playing against Doomfist, Ashe, Genji, Ana and Mercy, and none of these characters can do anything against your bubble. So what you would do is you would jump the backline, and I understand that you still can't kill Ana or Mercy alone. It's just completely impossible right now. But when you are jumping alone on those 2 characters and make them look at each other, they are not looking at their teammates, and your team is in a big advantage. If they can use this opportunity to strike, you will win the teamfight because it's a 4v3 and they are without healers. Problem with Winston is that he is exceptionally difficult to play, both in terms of his mechanical part as well as the fact that you need to know when, where and how to engage. So I would place him at the top of the B tier, although he is quite higher if you were good at him. Roadhog is still an abomination of a character even after getting indirectly buffed by recent support nerfs. You can check out my support tier list. I explained everything in details there about the mid-season 7 of Overwatch 2. You are bad on sniper maps on Roadhog against poke compositions that have Sigma, Widowmaker, Sojourn, Baptiste, Illari. They will just never allow you to come close and strike from the range that you can deal damage, right? You are bad on verticality maps against compositions with D.Va, Ashe, Genji, Ana and Mercy, because if you would want to go high ground, there is nothing you can do to protect your team, and if you are trying to strike from low ground, the D.Va can go on and off, and every single 3.5 seconds your team is gonna be at the risk of dying, and you can't effectively peel for the backline in that situation. Orsia is still a very painful hard counter, and people would be so happy to swap her if you are hard forcing Roadhog. Ananade is still your worst nightmare, and even though Zenyatta is no longer a Roadhog counter with his recent changes, you are charging Sojourn for free, basically making her a lot more powerful than she needs to be, as well as other DPS characters feel very safe against you. Mei, for example, can come close to you, wall you, and there is nothing you can do. Also, if you would try to land your hooks, and even if you are successful, you can't kill anything because of Cleanse, Lamp, Fade, Wraith, Sleep, Stun, Pin, Shield, and then people would like do all kinds of stuff to keep their teammates alive, and yeah, that is very annoying. Roadhog is hands down the worst tank right now, and we are still waiting for his rework. Check out my video on how to rework Roadhog. I discussed interesting ideas on how to make him great. So I would place Roadhog in a D tier. I would not expect anything spectacular from a rework. I feel like he's still gonna be terrible, just like Sombra. Sigma in the current state of the game is hands down the best tank in the game. If you would look at the World Cup, if you would look at the high level ranked, whether you watch the VODs of content creators or you check the top 500 leaderboard, you will quickly realize that people play Sigma, Diva, and then other tank with their personal preference. You have to understand that if you want to reliably carry your ranked games, you have to either deal damage or prevent the damage that has been dealt to you and your team, and the team that deals significantly more damage wins if they are not making positional and like overall mistakes. Every single Sigma ability allows you to protect yourself and your teammates. You have a one-sided wall that you can place anywhere on the map and create an angle for your team, even if it's not very nice without the shield. Right? You can make it good. You can deny damage with your shift, you can set up kills with a rock and apply pressure with your ranged left click. You don't care about meta DPS characters, and if you don't have bad tank duels, it means that you can play Sigma pretty much anywhere outside of maybe verticality maps, because you're gonna get outpaced by Diva with her 3.5 seconds going in and out, but we will speak about her later. Unfortunately, Sigma got so dominant that people need to learn how to play around him. So as you would see, the current best DPS characters to play are Sojourn, Symmetra, and Mei, because 3 of them are great against Sigma and directly counter him. But you can still play around them, and your team can adapt and shift their playstyle to help you get a great team composition and win the game. As a result, Sigma is going in an absolute S tier for sure. Feels like on a day when mid-season 7 patch notes were dropped, every single Reinhardt player was the happiest man alive, because after 2 seasons of being miserable, depressed, because Bastion was so freaking overpowered and you couldn't reliably play Reinhardt, now you can finally have the room to breathe. Rush compositions are as strong as they've ever been, because Mei is reverted back to when she was great with 100 damage per second on her left click freeze. And then you would go for something like Reinhardt, Mei, Sojourn, Lucio, and Baptiste, and it's incredibly strong. But Reinhardt is still terrible against Orsia. You feel completely useless and helpless, and she can throw you around with her spin, spare, and fortify, as well as there is nothing you can do about her ultimate. It goes through the shield. She has the ability to cycle her cooldowns in a way that you will never be able to apply any real pressure. If you're playing in a full rush compositions and they're playing some garbage like Orsia, Junkrat, let's say Orisa, Junkrat, Soldier, Ana, Zenyatta, sure, you can you can make this work, and you have Symmetra on your team, but in reality, people would never swap that thing for you in ranked, because they would want to play their funny little character, and they don't care about the outcome, they only care about having fun. Ramattra, on the other hand, will punch you over and over again through the shield, and your support would have to waste their resources to keep you alive instead of applying pressure to the enemy backline. Your Ana would have to spend her nade on you, but your Genji is waiting for that purple on the enemy Ashe to dash and reliably confirm the kill. Unfortunately, you're playing Reinhardt and hard forcing him, so you would lose the game as a result. Butterfly effect in action for sure. Reinhardt goes in a C tier. D.Va got the buff in the mid-season 7 that nobody asked for. She is the strongest tank on maps with high grounds and verticality, with ability to effectively poke enemies by going in and out, consistently dropping to the low ground, getting healed, and then going back in. She can apply pressure and deny high grounds from the enemy hitscan players that are very dangerous on them. It's incredibly difficult to kill you when you are playing D.Va, because you have a defense matrix that lasts for a very long time, as well as the fact that your ultimate allows you to full reset even in a situation when you are completely dead. Let's say that you are stuck in a corner, you just use your ultimate and opponents would either have to get away out of line of sight or try to kill you and then lose their life for it, as well as the fact that you have a great engage and escape tool every 3.5 seconds at your disposal. Incredibly powerful. Even against hard counters such as Zarya and Symmetra, you can still adjust your playstyle and avoid the direct confrontation, going for the enemy backline or making Symmetra and Zarya waste their resources trying to kill you, while your team uses all the space to destroy the remaining enemy roster with ease. You are great against Winston, which is the other only option when it comes to verticality maps. Other tanks are just complete throw. And you're great against every single hitscan character, plus not a single support can reliably duel you. S tier for maps with high grounds and verticality. Wrecking Ball has to be one of the hardest characters in Overwatch 2, with incredibly high skill floor and skill ceiling. Skill floor means that you need to spend ages if you want to have a mediocre value, and an eternity to be exceptional when it comes to the skill ceiling, right? You have advanced techs such as double boop, triple boop, wall jump, bounces, U180, I don't even know what that means. You have to be great at tracking, know where and when to approach the target, understand who to focus in a very dynamic environment, and switch up the playstyles when necessary. And higher you climb, faster the game will be in terms of their pace. People would know how to play against you, how to counterpick, and make your life miserable. You don't protect and defend your team by frontlining and brawling the enemy tank. Instead, you have to overcompensate and create value by distracting and destroying enemy backline. Problem is that you don't possess a threat. You're not dangerous at all on Wrecking Ball. People are not afraid to play against you, and there is not a single support, except maybe Zenyatta, that can die even if you do everything right. Wrecking Ball is gonna be another C tier character for 99.9% of the player base. I feel like Ramattra is alright, especially when it comes to lower level lobbies, but looks like the meta is just not exactly for him. Before, in season 6 and 7, you would never want to play Ramattra because he was just straight up terrible against Bastion. But even right now, there is nothing you can do against Sigma. You just charge Sojourn for free, enemy backline is completely immortal against you, and even if you land 4 punches, which is the minimum to kill a 200 HP squishy target, chances are they just gonna get instantly healed by the second support, and you would be standing there overcommitted, already used your form in the middle of nowhere, like thinking about your life and ways that you can change the situation that you've created. You're very clunky and slow outside the form, and it's really easy to play against you if they are playing correct composition. There is nothing you can do against Mei plus Sojourn, as they would just create so much value out of you being Ramattra instead of you being another character that's good against that. You also need Lucio if you want to maximize your potential and close the distance on enemies, because, like, again, people will outrun you, people will just use teleport, slide, fade, cleanse, nade, sleep, shield bash, platform, life grip, lamp, and you have already committed with the form and positioning, and you find yourself in a situation when you're just punching air. So the character is okay, but nothing special. Top of the B tier for Ramattra. Junker Queen, on the other hand, feels incredibly nice to play for the last few seasons. She doesn't have a single terrible tank duel, and it's either neutral or you completely roll them. You are great versus meta DPS such as Sojourn, Symmetra, Soldier, Tracer, and Echo, as they just can't reliably hit you. If you can land a knife on a squishy target, chances that this character is dead if you execute your axe, left click, and melee combination correctly. You're a great option in rush compositions with Queen, Mei, Sojourn, Lucio, and Kiriko. And Lucio and Kiriko is the exact backline duo that you need with Junker Queen, because you want to be fast to close the distance on the enemies, because every single ability of yours, as well as your right click, is very close ranged, and you have more value the closer you are to an enemy, right? And then you have Kiriko to keep you alive with Cleanse, and you need to constantly go in and out, and it can be extremely dangerous if you are playing another support. For example, Baptiste is gonna have a hard time keeping you alive, standing in the open, trying to hit difficult projectile heals while, like, you're dancing left and right and going in and out. The same goes with Ana. She's just gonna be too vulnerable, too exposed to enemy Widowmaker, and then she's just standing still. It's really easy to land the Helix onto her, like go for a full spray or just jump with Genji. Playing Queen is incredibly satisfying, and landing an axe on 2, 3, and 4 players in a small room is, oh my god, you get so much dopamine out of that. It's actually crazy. Going for a huge ultimate and cleaning up the kills after is also one of the greatest feelings when you can get on a tank. Junker Queen is gonna be A tier, a great option if enemies are countering your Sigma and you have a rush comp. Orsia is still great, and nowadays tank role has shifted from being able to carry games to the need to take space, to stay alive, and enable your DPS and supports, and Orsia can do all of that. She's very incredibly difficult to kill, very dangerous if you can land spare, you're accurate with your spray, and you can trap players in a corner with your spin, or perhaps boop them closer to your team, or send them flying off the map. You are amazing against Reinhardt, Ramattra, Roadhog, and it's incredibly easy to bully them using your whole kit. Other tanks will not be a problem, except maybe Zarya, but you have to understand that if you are counting bubbles and you and your team are not charging her, I don't think she's quite the threat, because you are just so unkillable. Even if she's 100 charge, your Fortify is gonna keep you alive, besides the fact that you are getting pocketed by the main healer, right? In that case, you can still hard force Orsia into Zarya, or go for the dark path of rock, paper, scissors. When you go Reinhardt, he goes Orsia, you go Zarya, and this vicious never-ending cycle of tank hatred continues until you both die from cringe. She's gonna be A tier for today's list. In mid-season 7 of Overwatch 2, Doomfist got a very annoying nerf with his stun duration. Before, I believe it was quite difficult to recall or use your escape cooldown out of the stun. Perhaps supports weren't able to heal you, so you were just completely dead from the Doom power punch and a few shots up close combination. Nowadays, it feels a lot worse, to the point where you have to overcompensate with perfect aim to confirm a kill on Doomfist. If you miss a single shot, chances that your enemy will have enough time to save himself, or he's gonna get saved by the teammate. You are straight up terrible against Orsia, terrible against Roadhog, and supports are completely immortal if you are approaching them alone. Mercy is just gonna fly away, Ana will always sleep you out of your block and anti you, and Brig can just press W and toss you around like a plush toy. She can counter punch you, and both you and her will end up on the ground. I've seen a very interesting thing where Doomfist falls after the Brig shield bash counter, gets slapped as he wakes up, then gets shattered and was about to stand up, but gets stunned by the rally of the shield bash again, to then just get pinned by the wall by Reinhardt. Pretty sure the dude just straight up uninstalled Overwatch after a humiliation like this. Pair that up with a really difficult nature of the character and you have a B tier hero that's only a small percentage of player can use and have value on. Zarya is going to be the last character for today, and she's straight up amazing, especially in lower ranks. You just farm high charge and destroy every single 200 HP character that's on your way and out of position. People never count bubbles in lower ranks, they never hold back when it comes to giving you free charge, and you can bubble your Genji or other DPS that's overcommitted and he can go in and stay alive in a situation of an inevitable death. You can help your team survive expensive cooldowns and ultimates while simultaneously giving yourself a charge. Grav is great and you can kill multiple people and fight with it. Unfortunately, the higher you climb, more you realize that opponents know exactly how to play around Zarya. They would ignore you if you are low charge, never shoot your bubbles, and they're gonna say in the voice chat stuff like Zarya no bubbles, Zarya one bubble, shoot the Zarya. Your Grav is gonna get cleansed, platformed, lamped, naded, and the burst heal from supports will be enough to keep everyone alive. People would swap Reinhardt and Winston after one good fight from you, and with the nerf of Bastion, your DPS will no longer be able to balance things out, so you would either have to embrace the suffering and force Zarya, or swap Orsia and enter a vicious cycle of tank hatred. Zarya is still incredibly strong. I would give her A tier. So this is gonna be it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about the current mid-season 7 of Overwatch 2. See you in the next one. Take care.